Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are talking about Trevenant in VGC and singles competitive play. So, Trevenant is a cool Pokemon. It has Ghost Grass typing, which is pretty solid. 2 different good abilities, actually 3 good abilities, but 2 are very useful in VGC, being Frisk and Harvest. The one we are using today in the build is Harvest, giving you the 50% chance to restore your consumed berry at the end of the turn. So if you take a lot of damage and go down to 50%, you eat your Sitrus berry, take back 25%, and then at the end of the turn, you get a 50% chance of restoring that berry, which is really cool. And during Sunshine, you get it 100% of the time, which is really cool. But honestly, Trevenant doesn't really want to be in Sun, because then every Heat Wave or Flamethrower coming into it is dead. It's just death. So yeah, Trevenant doesn't really want the Sun to be up, but its ability wants its Sun to be up, which is kind of weird and kind of counterintuitive, but whatever, it's okay. So the other good ability here is Frisk. Frisk also just reveals both items that all the held items that your opponent is using. It's just very, very good. In a knowledge-based game, knowledge is just very good. It makes sense. We see that on things like Dusclops all the time. Frisk, things, is good. Anyway, so Trevenant. Ghost Grass typing is not that bad. It's not great. 5 weaknesses, 4 resistances to immunities. It's pretty balanced of a typing, but with a lot of really good utility. High tier Pokemon being Fire right now, and Ice and Flying, and Ghost and Dark. All are very prevalent abilities. I said abilities. All are very prevalent typings right now in general in the game. So, it's not the best typing, but could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Anyway, so let's look at its stats. All around, pretty average, HP, defense, and special defense being at 85, 76, and 82. Very, very average, nothing to write home about. It's not terrible, you don't die to every single attack, but a lot of super effective attacks are going to knock you out as an OHKO. So definitely, Focus Sash is definitely an option as well for this Pokemon. We went with the Sitrus Berry for the Harvest build, but, Focus Sash with Frisk is definitely a really good ability, or definitely a really good way of playing this Pokemon as well. So that's good. Our attack is the best stat at 110. It's not bad. 110 attacking is pretty good. Offering a lot of damage to big Pokemon in the meta, things like Lapras, Primarina, Rotom Wash, Dusclops, Alolan Marowak. You're doing a lot of damage with your stab type moves, which are very good for Trevenant. So, with all of that out of the way, also let's talk about speed. Its speed tier is 56. Its speed-based speed is 56, which is not bad. It's not great. It's good for Trick Room, but not good against hard Trick Room. So against hard Trick Room teams, you're definitely going to want to use this Pokemon. You're going to want to keep away Trick Room, whether it's imprisoned from this Pokemon, imprisoned from a different Pokemon, taunting the Trick Room user, or resetting Trick Room. Just have speed tiers in your favor for Trevenant. Things like Alolan Marowak that are pretty commonly played are going to just destroy this Pokemon, and they underspeed it, so they just, get to Trick Room and then kill Trevenant. And, that happens. Anyway, that is going to be it for the overview. Let's go ahead and look at the VGC build itself that we put together. So, Trevenant, Sitrus Berry at Sitrus Berry, and Harvest. Now, like I was saying, Harvest and Sitrus Berry works pretty well for this Pokemon, being able to take back that Sitrus Berry at the end of every turn, potentially 50%. It's cool, it's a good ability, but, it's RNG. You have 50% chance to get it back, but that's okay. As far as other items go, you can definitely go for Focus Sash, like I was saying, with pretty medium bulk. Focus Sash is definitely a good thing to have on a Trick Room setter, because you're just going to be wanting to get your Trick Room set up, and a lot of the time they're going to be expecting Harvest Sitrus Berry, so they'll attack with something that will OHKO you, and then not expect the Focus Sash, and then you still get your Trick Room up, instead of them double targeting. So that can be good, definitely. And then our other item here of choice is Miracle Seed. Now you could go with any kind of, damage boosting item. You could go Life Orb for 30% and a little bit of damage. You could go Miracle Seed for 20% but no damage, and only on, your grass type attacks like Wood Hammer and Horn Leech. Or you could even go for Choice Band, but then you can't Dynamax this Pokemon really, and that is one of the routes of play that we have for this Pokemon. So, you have options. It's a very customizable set. speaking of customizable set, let's talk about its moves and how you can change them if you want to. So we have dual stab plus protect and trick room. Makes a lot of sense for this Pokemon. I wanted protect on this Pokemon because mostly for harvest, you know, you get the 50% chance of getting back health at the end of the turn, so protect makes a lot of sense. Trick room makes a lot of sense on this Pokemon because of its very, very low speed and its synergy with other trick room Pokemon. Makes a lot of sense. Now we also have 2 dual stab attacks, or 1 stab but 2 different stab attacks. We have Poltergeist for your ghost. It's very, very strong, 110 base power, and fails if your opponent doesn't have an item. So if they consumed their berry, weakness policy, or focus sash already, Poltergeist will fail, so don't use that into moves or into Pokemon that already used their item. Makes a lot of sense. Now we also have Wood Hammer here. It's just the most damage dealing attack that it can offer. It offers an OHKO on things like Primarina when it's non-Dynamaxed. Rotom Wash probably can't sit there and take a Wood Hammer to the face. You know, a lot of Pokemon, Wood Hammer's just really strong against. Also, it kind of eats away at your health, which is kind of cool for Sitrus Berry proc, and then at the end of the turn harvest, it can be cool. It can also be the downfall of you, especially if you're using a Focus Sash build. You'll die, and that sucks. You don't want to die. But yeah, Trevenant's already a ghost, so I guess it's already dead. But you don't want it to faint, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so customizable set. Very, very customizable. Let's look at some moves that you can use instead of these moves. So, first off, we have Phantom Force. If you're not a big fan of Poltergeist, which I get, you know, it won't work against certain Pokemon. Weakness policy, proccing Pokemon turn 1. You can't target those Pokemon down with Poltergeist, so that is unfortunate. So yeah, Phantom Force is a good option for that as well. Although it is a 2-turn attack, you know, you vanish the first turn, which is not the greatest for a Trick Room Pokemon because, yeah, you're gonna take a lot of hits at first, but next turn you're not gonna take a lot of hits because you're slow. So Phantom Force is cool. We also have Horn Leech as well, being a really strong physical grass type move that heals as well, but being 75 base power, I wanted the really heavy damaging Wood Hammer so that I could take out things like Lapras, Primarina, and Rotom Wash, because those Pokemon are just very, very high usage right now. I just wanted to be able to deal with those really easily, so we went with Wood Hammer. Now, we have a lot of coverage moves that this Pokemon gets. We have things like Earthquake, Rock Slide, Sucker Punch, Hex. You know, it goes on. I think there's Poison Jab. I think there's Giga Impact, which could be cool. You have a lot of options with this Pokemon, which are all very good. But we went for the Dual Stab, Trick Room, Protect build. But like I said, you can change that up if you don't feel like Protect is that useful in here. If you went for Focus Sash or a damage boosting item instead of Harvest, Protect loses a little bit of its value. So you have a lot of different ways of using that. Now, that is not all this Pokemon has, coverage moves and stab moves and Trick Room. We also have a lot of good support moves. Things like Imprison, being able to stop Trick Room from your opposing player, or even Protect, which is really cool. You also have Imprison for potentially Wood Hammer or Poltergeist if you're, you know, running this next to something that doesn't like those moves. That could be cool as well. We also have things like Will-O-Wisp, which is very good. Obviously, you know, burning Pokemon is very good in a very physical heavy format. Now, obviously, you know, of course, there has been a transition in the meta in which a lot more Pokemon are special attacking this format. So, you know, Will-O-Wisp is a little worse, but it's still an amazing attack. There's so many great Pokemon in the meta that, you know, don't want to be burned. Ferrothorn, Urshifu, Conkeldurr. I guess Conkeldurr wants to be burned a lot of the time, though. You know, we have a lot of really good physical attacking Pokemon, so it's still very good. Dracozolt is a huge one. You know, it's very good. We have Trick as well, which is a great option. You know, being able to trick on bad items, Lagging Tail. You can give things choice items that they don't want to use. It can be cool. Trick is a good option. You also have, of course, Trick Eject Button, but it's not Prankster, so it's not very reliable. Next, we have Ally Switch as well. You know, of course I'm going to mention this. I hate Ally Switch, and I think a lot of people hate Ally Switch, but it is a, you know, mechanic in a game move that we have to deal with, and, you know, it's pretty good. So I put it on here on this list, so you can definitely use that. Anyway, that is going to be it for the moves. Let's talk about the EV spread real quick. So I just went 252 into HP in attack, and then 4 into defense. We see this for a lot of Trick Room Pokemon, Trick Room Setters, and Trick Room Sweepers, just being the most damage output as possible, and then just into generic bulk of HP. This Pokemon is a Pokemon you'll Dynamax pretty frequently, I think. You know, it has pretty solid attack stats as well as good moves. You know, Phantasm is very strong for this Pokemon as well, which is good. We went for Brave Nature, giving it plus attack minus speed, just so it can be as slow as possible and as damage dealing as possible. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that is going to be it for the VGC spread, the VGC build. Let's talk about these two synergetic Pokemon in the bottom right corner real quick. First off, we have Alolan Marowak. Now, Trevenant and Alolan Marowak both are Ghost, which is unfortunate. You have that big dark Ghost weakness, of course, but you do have that Fire Grass core, which is very good. Slap of Water on there, and you have the most basic core typing, most basic typing core in the game, which is very, very good. Now, you also have, Trevenant being able to cover your water weakness, which is very, very strong. You also have, strong Poltergeists coming from your partner Pokemon Alolan Marowak to deal with those Pokemon that Trevenant doesn't want to deal with as well, which is pretty cool. It also sets Trick Room, and Alolan Marowak likes Trick Room. Makes a lot of sense. Now, the other Pokemon we have here is Riolu, mostly for that copycat max Trick Room strat. If you don't know about that, I'm sure you do know about that, but I'll still say it real quick. Trevenant can go for a max guard using Trick Room as its root move, then copycatting with Prankster with Riolu, being able to activate Trick Room with priority while also saving your Trevenant for 1 turn max guarding, so it can't take damage, guaranteeing your Trick Room to get up essentially, and that is pretty cool. That's definitely a strat that, has seen some play with Hatterene, Reuniclus, multiple Pokemon, and Trevenant is one of those Pokemon that it would work with, which is cool. Anyway, we are very far into this video, 11 minutes in, so I'm going to move on now. So let's talk about speed tiers. This Pokemon boasts pretty low speed, which is good for Trick Room, but at the same time not good against hard Trick Room. We are at 54. As you can see, a lot of things are underspeeding us. Not even every single Pokemon that underspeeds us is on this chart. We have Supersized Gourgeist, which fills a very similar role as Trevenant, but it is 1 speed point lower. So, if they go for Trick Room, this guy is a little bit slower. Makes sense. We have things like Conkeldurr, Dragalge, Rhyperior, Hatterene, Gigalith, Dusclops, Ferrothorn, Torkoal when it's back in the game, Pinsirchin. All of these Pokemon are underspeeding you, so if you see many of those Pokemon on your opponent's team, you don't really want to keep Trick Room in play. So if they go for Trick Room, you kind of just want to keep that out. You could go for Imprison, you could go for your own Trick Room to reset it, you go for Taunt, you have a lot of options. Pokemon that do outspeed us just barely, things like Mudsdale, Lapras at min speed. Lapras is always going to be outspeeding you. Alcremie is barely outspeeding you. My voice is really bad today. I just noticed that because those 2 baby voice cracks. Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, Trevenant is pretty slow, not super fast, not something you want to use against a hard Trick Room team unless you're deterring Trick Room. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that is going to be it for speed tiers. Let's move on to some damage calcs. So, Trevenant does some good damage against a lot of good Pokemon in the meta. Things like Primarina, Dusclops, Lapras, hits for super effective, which is very good. Now, it is also very susceptible to a lot of things in the meta. Things like Arcanine and Talonflame that are everywhere in the game. Lapras, which is also a top 10 Pokemon. You have a lot of weaknesses, but you also hit a lot of damage, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So the first 3 are going to be offensive calcs, second 3 are going to be defensive calcs. Let's start them off with the Primarina, which is one of the most played Pokemon. I think it's number 3 currently in the played usage stats on Pikalytics. So let's look at it. Wood Hammer from our 252 plus attack Trevenant into a non-Dynamax 252 HP 4 defense Primarina is hitting 135 to 160, which is very, very good. Guaranteed OHKO against one of the best Pokemon in the meta. Very good. Now, if it Dynamaxes, we're still hitting 67 to 80%, which is a lot of damage. A guaranteed 2-hit KO. Now, we are a little bit slower than Primarina, so, Primarina is going to hit first, but it doesn't do too much damage with any of its things. Obviously, it does a lot of damage. Life Orb Primarina is a huge threat, but you know what? It could be worse. Anyway, next we have Trevenant Poltergeist into the maximum defense and HP defensive Eviolite Dusclops. It's usually going to be a little bit more split of a spread, so you'll do a little bit more damage most of the time, but even if it's max defense and max HP with Eviolite, we are still hitting a guaranteed 2-hit KO with Poltergeist, which is very, very good. Next, we have Trevenant Woodhammer into Lapras with 4 HP. Dynamax, we are hitting 58 to 68. Now, this is obviously the offensive spread. This is what we are seeing more commonly played in Series 6. Life Orb, max attack, max speed Lapras. But, of course, there's still bulky Laprases out there as well. So, hitting a 2-hit KO is not always super relevant. Now, of course, it also has max resonance. That is the main reason people are using Lapras. Max Hailstorm or Max Resonance will be giving a guaranteed OHKO against your own Trevenant. So even though we are hitting a guaranteed 2-hit KO against one of the best Pokemon, one of the top 10 threats in Pokemon Series 6, it's still OHKOing you. So it's still a bad matchup in my opinion. Now, next we have Arcanine Heatwave into our Trevenant with 0 special attack, still hitting 50 to 59, guaranteed to a KO. That is a lot of damage, but not the worst matchup, actually. Arcanine Heatwave is doing a lot of damage, but it also intimidates. Arcanine is a very bad matchup, and once again, that is a top 3 Pokemon, not something you want to see using a Pokemon. And last but not least, we have Talonflame Brave Bird into our Trevenant. Of course, that's going to get that +1 speed priority, and it's hitting an insane amount of damage, 97 to 116, unsupplemented by Nature or Life Orb or anything like that. Shark Beak. If it uses any of those items or that Nature, it is going to be giving them 100% chance to OHKO, which is not good. Anyway, that is going to be it for our damage calcs. Let's move on to single spotlight real quick before I end this video, because it is already 15 minutes and I don't want it to be much longer than 15 minutes. So let's talk single spotlight real quick. I went for Natural Cure as our ability. It is the best one in singles in my opinion. You know, Harvest is pretty good, but you have to use Protect, and that's not that great in singles. And then you also have, you know, Frisk, but it's not as good as Natural Cure in singles. Frisk is literally 2 times as good in doubles to singles, and Natural Cure is literally 2 times as good from singles to doubles. Makes a lot of sense. You get burnt, you can switch this Pokemon out, and boom, you're not burnt anymore. Very good stuff. Now, we are running a Choice Band build for this Pokemon. 4 attacks, 2 stab, 2 coverage moves. You can switch them up if you want. We went for Earthquake and Rock Slide. Makes a lot of sense. They're just very good in the meta. You know, it's very good. We have Choice Band, which gives you 50% more damage, but you are going to be locked into your one move. So then we have Natural Cure as well when you switch out to change up your, you know, attack that you can use that you're locked into. You can also heal your, you know, status, which is really cool. Now, EVs, we went for 252 into attack and speed. Went for Jolly Nature. I know it's a slow Pokemon, but we went for as fast as possible with Choice Band. Since it's just a Choice Band attacker, go for that Jolly and max speed. Makes a lot of sense. Overall, it's pretty cool. Now, let's talk overall for Trevenant. I don't think it's that great in the meta, to be honest. If you're looking for a bulky Trick Room setter, there are better Trick Room setters. If you're looking for a Trick Room setter that can deal damage, there are most likely better Pokemon in the meta. But Grass typing is not bad right now. Of course, you have things like Talonflame and Arcanine in the meta that are very, very big against this Pokemon. But you also have Pokemon like Water Urshifu, Primarina, Rotom Wash, Lapras. The list goes on of Pokemon that hits for super effective damage. Setting Trick Room, those Pokemon don't typically like Trick Room. Now, some of them do. Lapras builds do. Primarina builds can. But yeah, Trevenant has an okay place in the meta, but overall, not the strongest. You know, you have a lot of threats, things like Arcanine and Talonflame that are on very, very many teams. It's unfortunate, but this Pokemon can be played, and I think this is cool, and I think this is one of the best ways to play it. So, without further ado, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It makes a huge difference. It really does. You know, it's free to do. Do it. It makes my day better. Now, things that are not free to do, join the Patreon. Things that are still free to do, join the Twitter, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, follow me on Patreon, you know, support the Patreon, do all those things. Relevant links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. This was a long video. I'm sorry it was so long, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and goodbye.